Hi, I'm Riley, and this is Bryson, and this is On the Way Up interview series. Before we get started, Bryson, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Well, first off, Riley, thank you for taking time to talk with me. I really appreciate it. It's always good to see you. Yeah, my name is Bryson Williams. I graduated high school from Lincoln, Nebraska. Now I attend the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Um, I play football here, and then other things I'm involved with on campus is I am part of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. I'm the chairman of Diversity and Inclusion for the Sales Trading Asset Management Club. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Pi, and yeah, that's really a little bit about me.
Awesome, awesome. So you are at the University of Wisconsin. What's your favorite thing about Madison now that you've lived there for a while?
Yeah, honestly, I think my favorite thing about Madison is really just the vibe, of the students, of the campus. Really, I grew up Midwest. I grew up in Rockville, Illinois, and then, like I said, I went to Lincoln, Nebraska from there. So always been involved in the Midwest, and Madison's just a great spot to be if you are somewhere around the Midwest area. It's just a college town, which is always nice. You can get away. It's not too crowded by any means, which is another beneficial thing there. And really just reminds me a little bit of home, just a little bit more upbeat tempo. So I really do. I've enjoyed all 3 years so far of my time here at Madison. I don't have too many complaints about it.
Staying a little bit in Madison, what's your go-to thing to do? You have a night off, you got anything, money's not a problem. Where do you go?
Shoot, I think that well, for the most part, usually when I have a night off, I really just kind of chill with my roommate. We don't really go out too much. We really just kind of stick around and hang out. But there's just plenty of nice restaurants in Madison, and if if money wasn't a problem, I would definitely love to go to one of those. Specifically, probably like a nice steakhouse where it's like Ruth's Chris or Rare's a really good steak place that's here. But another really nice thing to do, especially in the summer, is just go chill by the lake. We have a couple of pretty big lakes here in Madison that I can take my moped to or my car to and just sit out there and hang out for a little bit and just enjoy it. The Capitol, I live really a block and a half away from the Capitol and took a little walk there a couple nights ago. So there's honestly plenty of things to do in Madison that are a bunch of fun, but those are some of the things that I really like to enjoy.
Just pivot a little bit, just so I can prove to people that have been spent their dime in Nebraska. What is your thing you miss the most about Nebraska, specifically Lincoln, just to prove that it's not a flyover state?
Oh, sorry, there's a fire truck going by, but the one thing I think I miss about Lincoln is that it's honestly something that Madison has a lot of too, is just, really genuine people, and really just kind of the vibe of, Lincoln when you get closer to the campus, especially like the Haymarket area. There's so many things to do down there and so many nice restaurants. And it's just a really like kind of upbeat vibe down there. And, people are always nice. It's a clean area. So I guess that's something I'm not necessarily missing because I have it here as well. But that was always one of my favorite things about Lincoln is I don't really necessarily love too much of like crowded areas, or at least I used to not like it too much. And Lincoln provides a very nice balance of, there's still good energy, upbeat energy, but at the same time, you don't have to worry about some of the things that you might worry about in other places. So I guess that's one thing.
Transition again back into something more on topic. So this entire leadership interview series is about leadership. So I think probably the best way to start is asking Bryson, what does leadership mean to you?
Yeah. So I think really what leadership comes down to in my eyes is all about influence, and specifically the ability to influence others, in a way that kind of makes sense to either like the overall purpose and mission of whatever group or organization that you're a part of. It's not, I mean, when people think of leadership, people like to think of like, there's one person at the top telling others what to do. But I think leadership can come from any position, really anywhere. It's just, do you have that influence? Do you have that backing that, if you take these actions, if you say these words, like, will people, stay in tune? Will people want to follow? Will people take those actions with you? That's what I think true leadership is really having that influence of others people's actions and thoughts even.
Absolutely. Speaking of leadership and talking about influence, you have quite the influence there in Madison. You seem to be 2 or 3 times a month always on Wisconsin's football page, smiling, doing your lifts or something else. Where do you think that started? Where did your leadership journey, quote unquote, start, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's something that my mom and my stepdad always kind of told me growing up, was that I was kind of a natural leader. And I think that really stems from me being able to, or me having gone, grown up in a bunch of different situations, being able to meet a very diverse group of people at a very young age and kind of seeing what makes people tick, and then trying my best to kind of optimize the abilities of very diverse groups of people. I see myself as somebody who's super relatable, and I think that's really the first step of true leadership, is truly being able to relate to your audience, to your organization, to your friends, everything else. So you're able to have that influence that I had mentioned earlier. And so, I mean, I think that started really at a young age. I was always been somebody who's working hard, and I thought, if I was the hardest working person on the team, then the rest of the team would kind of follow my actions, and the team itself would be better. And I think that started, when I was like 10. It's just kind of built into me from my mom, and really just carried through all throughout high school, all throughout college. So I think it probably started right around then, like really when I first got heavy into the sports I was playing. And I just really liked that feeling of having a positive influence. And so it started pretty early, but I just have always enjoyed that feeling ever since.
Speaking of being very successful and being the person you are, 3 years into your experience at Wisconsin, hindsight is always 2020. Looking back, is there anything that you could change, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or even back when you were like 8 or 9, that would influence kind of a better platform to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily anybody who would kind of like to go back and change things, just because I feel like I'm in the most optimal position I can be in right now. But I'm also somebody who reflects. And I think that, especially more in like the couple years ago, right around my freshman year of college, a year or two before that when I was in high school, I viewed myself as a leader, and I viewed myself as a decent leader. But if I could change anything back then, I think that I thought, the personable like actions were there, and I would always try to, like I said, relate to people. But I sometimes would almost tell people what they would want to hear a little bit too much, instead of having like constructive criticism in certain areas that I have found out while being a leader here and stuff, that is super super important. And people can take that just as well as a compliment, as long as it's done in the right way. And constructive criticism can be used as a super powerful tool. So I guess I could have been better in that area, and maybe had some better outcomes in certain things. So I guess that's one thing I could change. But really anything else, I just think that, the relationships that I had, as a leader, they were all natural. I still have friends I talk to here and there ever since then. Just being in that position that somebody, I can relate to you, I'll talk to you, I'll talk with you about things. And I can listen pretty well. Obviously that's a big thing as a leader. And so I'm definitely happy with how I used to carry out things, but if I could change one thing, it'd be the constructive criticism part of it.
You're very well spoken on leadership, and I think that really speaks true to what you've done at Wisconsin and what you did while you were at high school. Uh, Being that well spoken and having that knowledge, what are some key words of wisdom you might give to a middle schooler or a high schooler, or just anybody trying to step into a role that they don't typically see in themselves, or just struggling to fit into a role?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is you have to really accept and have the ability of being able to listen and evaluate and truly see things from others' perspective. Not everybody ticks the same. And so if you try a single approach with a mass group of people, it's not going to really get anybody to do anything. You have to understand people in a way that, if somebody's having a bad day or somebody has a bad performance this way, like you can't go talk to them the same way you would talk to somebody else if they're having the same situation. So it really comes down to having a good understanding of who it is you're dealing with, And also you have to be super true to yourself and think, if I'm going to assign this task or if I'm going to expect this out of this person, then, what am I giving? What are the expectations for me? And am I living up to those expectations? If not exceeding those expectations? And so those are some very, very important things to think about when you do want to be a leader or you're thinking about a certain leadership position, is truly being able to get to know the people who you would be the leader of. And then also making sure that you yourself are living up to those expectations that, they will be expecting from you. So I think those are really the main things.
Just to pivot a bit, that was a lovely answer. I think communication and relation are very, very important. I really like to ask this question a lot. It has to do with the highs and lows of your leadership journey, or just in general, highs and lows in life. Low point, what was it? How did you get out of it? And then after that, what was a high point that you felt that you had? And then how did you make it to that point?
Oh yeah. Okay. So I would say a low point that I had in college was I was originally denied from the business school here. And the reason why that was so tough was one of the main reasons I came to Wisconsin was for their business school. They have a really good business school here. I really wanted to be a part of it. I thought it would be perfect for what I was trying to do career-wise, and not getting in sucked. And, it wasn't one of those things to where, it was just the school just didn't accept me and this and that. It was truly on me. It was all my fault. I just wasn't handling school like I needed to and a little bit too focused on football itself. But it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And, I really had to sit down and have that true conversation with myself and say, what do you want? Like, what do you want to do here? Do you just want to be a football player that, doesn't really do school and plays his 4 years here, maybe go to the league? And if I don't, then, just be content with something, below average? Or do I want to live up to my full, level that I know I can hit? And after having that true conversation with myself, I took everything else super seriously from then on. And, I fixed my grade point average, which was really the main thing holding me back. I got way more involved with orgs on campus when I was a part of none. I'm a part of like 3 or 4. And just seeing, how much better can I get moving forward? Am I getting better every day? Am I getting better every month? And really having that, kind of like self-evaluation. And really from there, I was able to kind of dig deeper into what I wanted to do going forward with one of the orgs I joined after getting denied from the business school. And that led me to, doing a lot of recruitment for kind of like jobs in New York, specifically in sales and trading at, certain investment banks. And last summer was really the recruiting period for those applications. And, I was going through a bunch. I had to, send a bunch of emails, make a lot of networking calls, all these applications, all this and that. But, after, working hard and able to get my GPA up, I was, a decently qualified applicant, and really came down to just a couple of banks. And I ended up choosing Morgan Stanley in their institutional equity division. And really when I accepted that position for this coming up summer, it really just allowed me to be like, you know what, like, it sucked getting denied from the business school, but, if I hadn't had that failure, there's no way I'd be in the position I'm in now. Like if I were just to get in the business school off a whim and never join these orgs, because I wouldn't have if I got in the business school, then I definitely wouldn't be working in New York coming up here soon. So it also made me realize that, failure sucks 100%. It doesn't feel good to get denied or rejected, but, if you can take any positive part of it out and, continue to build on it from there, like truly reflect and adjust. I mean, you never know what can happen. You really don't.
Beautiful. I think that really speaks to your overcoming of adversity and how to handle that. I think that's almost a bit of a learned behavior. Personally, do you feel similar, or I guess the best way to put this is, do you have a personal leader that you feel like explains or presents these features that you feel have gotten you to the places that you are?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the first person who's kind of ingrained this a little bit is my mom. Been through a lot, and she always made things work. Like no matter what the situation was, I always knew that, I would have food on the table. I always knew that I was gonna be able to go to school. There's another ambulance or fire truck going. Oh, here it goes. Okay. Like I said, my mom was really the first person to ingrain that into me, and not like a real like no quit attitude. Like no matter what you're up against, like you don't quit until all the options are gone, and even then, you better find something else to do, because there's no such thing as like just not doing anything with her. And I've always appreciated that, but even more so, just continuing to read books about certain leaders, continue to read books about some business professionals that were at the top and then had a huge failure and then had to build themselves back up, and just continuing to read up on stories like that, and also just kind of like self-reflection books as well, and everything like that. I just think is kind of what has built kind of like my mental framework that I have right now. And so I truly feel like, what, failure is bad, no doubt, but you can truly make some great things happen no matter what position you're in. And so now I feel myself in a position where I'm trying to maximize any opportunity I can and take advantage of any opportunity I can. So that's really just kind of how I tick now. And I really enjoy being able to kind of look at the positive side of things, no matter what happens. Like, yeah, I can't do spring ball for the next 5 weeks or something, but my first thought was it could have been worse. I've been down bad where I can't do something for 9 months. 5 weeks is nothing. So I don't know. I just think it's a very, very powerful mindset to have, and it's gotten me to where I'm at today.
Yeah, beautifully put. I think again speaks a lot to who I know you as and see you as far as great leader. Um, Going back to you personally, and maybe the organizations you're a part of on campus, and things that you want to do and become. Do you have any personal leadership goals that people could help contribute to, that you feel like people should hear about?
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, one of my main kind of leadership roles that I have right now is, like I said, the chairman of diversity and inclusion in my Sales String Asset Management Club. And Wall Street is kind of known as being a white man's game, and I'm not necessarily trying to, or I'm probably not necessarily going to change that whole narrative myself. But I know that if I'm able to reach out to certain kids and show them the opportunities of this and that, and do so in a way that like makes them excited, like I'm excited about the same opportunities, I think that can have a huge impact down the line. And we've been pretty successful in doing so already. Just in my basically year, probably about half a year to a year, role in this position, and just continuing to add more, and not like really worrying about rejection. Like I said, you can't really worry about rejection, you can't worry about failure, because this isn't gonna be something that everybody wants to do. But the importance of at least showing people this avenue, that's what really matters. That's what's really important, just so they can see that there's opportunity there. That's why I speak to the football team about things like this, and I've already had somebody join who's going to be a great applicant when his time is here. So I think that being in a leadership role, like, there's going to be things that might seem off that you might not be able to do too well, but like, just grind it out is what it comes down to. Just continuing to develop and adjust to different scenarios in the best way you can. That's how you have the most optimal outcome at the end, I think.
Beautiful. I mean, revisiting all the knowledge and wealth of ideas that you've had throughout this interview. One thing I like to end on for everybody they interview, if I ask them, do you have a certain life motto or saying that you live by that helps you get through the day by day and even hour by hour?
I mean, for me, the thing that I think about basically every day is, and that I usually ask myself at the end of every night is, did you get better today? That's what it comes down to. And earlier in college, it used to just be strictly football. Did I get better at football? Did I watch film? Did I adjust to this? Like I said, I was going to the night before, blah, blah. But you can truly bring that to every single aspect of your life, and it doesn't even take much. It doesn't have to be 100% better. It doesn't have to be 20% better. It can be 0.5%, 1% better. Even if I'm just reading 10 pages a day, that's helping my mental. That's better. Even if I'm putting an extra hour to school, like that makes you better. If I'm building more connections naturally, like that, all that can contribute, to you being a better person and you getting better every day. And so that's kind of what I live by is, you know, how can I make myself better, even if it's by a minuscule amount. And some days you'll have, you'll feel like you've gotten better by way more. And, you know, and some days you'll just be like, you know, I barely did, but it just matters, you know, the yes or no question of, did I get better today? That's what drives me. And that's kind of the outlook I have on life that I think pushes me every day.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Bryson, so much for the time. I've really enjoyed it. I'm Riley. This is Bryson, and that has been On the Way Up.